It's you that I need and love this time. I'm in love this time. Kittens. There's a kitty. Hi, Smudgers. Hi. Come here, baby boy. Come here, big sweet dumb boy. No, come here. Oh. Show me some love. Yeah. Okay. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I have mentioned that I need to record this video in the last 2 videos that I have made, so this is my mid-year check-in video. We're not going to talk about the fact that this is the end of July. Time is an illusion, and 2020 has already lasted a century, so let's just get into it. I was thinking about doing the mid-year book freakout tag, but the questions just weren't really speaking to me, so I've decided to kind of make this my own tag. And if people want to do it, then great, consider yourself tagged. If not, no worries. We all gotta do the things that bring us joy. Anyway, first question is, how many books have you read so far this year, and how does that compare to this point in time in previous years? So, I have currently read 28 books, and I'm filming this on the last day of July, so that is through the first 7 months. And last year, by the end of July, I had read 45. So in March, I read 2 books, and then in April, I didn't read a whole lot either. I've started to pick up my reading a little bit now because I've started reading rereads and trashy romance novels because I realized that that's basically all I can read at this point. Anything that isn't that takes me like 6 weeks. So I'm doing it, but it's taken me a really long time. So if you set reading goals for 2020, how have you done with them? And I set a few of these. So the first of my goals was that less than 50% of the books that I read in the year would be by white authors. I wasn't doing great at this for a while because I was rereading a lot of old favorites and binging The Witcher and stuff like that. But at the moment, I am at exactly 50% of my reading has been by white authors, which means that 14 of the books that I've read have been by white authors. 11 of them have been by Black authors, 2 of them by Asian or Asian American authors, and then 1 by a Native author. So I'm definitely looking on expanding some of those other categories, but that's where I'm at right now. I had another goal that around 20% of what I would read would be queer. So I discovered an author who writes a bunch of gay historical romance novels. So I've read 4 by her, which is KJ Charles. So on queer content, I'm actually doing pretty good. I'm at 39% of my reading has been queer in some way. And then I also had a goal that a third or so of my reading would be a physical book. The point of that saying that I need to work on getting down my massive physical TBR that I have in my small apartment. So I did manage to read about 32% of my books be physical books, but a lot of those were rereads. So in terms of getting the TBR that's on my shelves down, haven't really been that successful, but what can you do? So that's what I'm doing on my goals so far. Not great, but honestly, I feel no need to excuse myself. 2020 has been a decade. So my next question is, what are some titles of books that you've read this year that you haven't had a chance to talk about? If you do monthly wrap-ups where you talk about literally every single thing that you read in the month, I commend you. I don't have that kind of time. So this is meant for those people that either don't do wrap-ups or they haven't done a wrap-up in a really long time and they'd like to just kind of catch you up on some stuff. So I haven't really talked about the Witcher series. Like, I keep mentioning that I'm reading it. I got about 4 books into the series, so I read the first 2 collections of short stories. And honestly, those were kind of trashy, but I really enjoyed them. There was a lot of, like, playing with fantasy tropes. I did honestly also really enjoy seeing the ways that the TV show had, like, pulled from this collection of short stories to, like, make this series of episodes. And so it was really nice to compare those 2 ones. Once I started getting into the novels, I wasn't as into them anymore. The fact that it was like very 90s fantasy, like it was Polish 90s fantasy, which is a whole other thing, but it's still fantasy written by a white man in the 90s. So just, it started to get a little rapey, and I'm just like, I don't know if I'm into this anymore. So I don't know if I'm going to continue to read the book series. I did genuinely enjoy the first 2 books that were the collections of short stories. So if you want to just read those, I don't think you'd super go wrong there. But yeah, the rest of the like novel series, I don't know that I'm going to finish those. A book that I am more excited to talk about though is that I finally read The Deep by Rivers Solomon. I did it on audiobook because it is narrated by Devi Diggs, so obviously I wanted Devi Diggs to read me this story. This one is about mermaids who are the descendants of pregnant slave women who are thrown overboard in the Middle Passage, and about how they've basically repressed their trauma and put it on a single person called the historian. And so it's from the point of view of this girl who is the historian and how she's just like breaking under this pressure and what she does to have to kind of make the rest of the community sort of come to terms with their history. Very gay, very emotionally devastating, very weird because it's about mermaids, so the way that they sense things and the way that they talk is all interesting and cool. And yeah, I'm definitely interested in checking out more of Rivers Solomon's work. I do have, I think it's their first novel or one of their earlier ones. It's An Unkindness of Ghosts. What is that called? Yeah, it's a sci-fi one. I've read like half of a chapter, so I don't know a ton about that one yet. Another book that I've read recently, this book is like 7 hours on audiobook, and this book still took me like 3 weeks to read it because I could listen to it for like 20 minutes, and then I was like, okay, I need a break. It was Freshwater by Kweke Mezi. This book is so moving. It's very devastating. It also is told at such a remove for most of the story that I was like pretty emotionally disconnected from what was happening because it was like being narrated from the point of view of these gods who are, you know, by necessity kind of removed. And so it's very metaphysical, it's very fluid, it goes back and forth in time a lot, so it's very cerebral in some ways. So I could handle this book for about 20 minutes at a time, but I kept going and I finished it and it was amazing. Again, very queer, a lot of trigger warnings. This book is fucked up. I definitely had to take my time with it, but it was worth taking my time with it because there was a lot to unpack in that short little book. So yeah, definitely check it out, but be careful about the content on this one. My next question on the list is, how has your TBR changed since what you thought that it was at the beginning of the year? So this could be like if you've got some new releases that you found out about that you're really excited about, or you had a book on your TBR and then you started hearing really bad reviews about it and now you're like, I don't know. So personally, I have started incorporating more nonfiction into my reading because I love reading fiction. I love reading fiction so much to the point that I just kind of push nonfiction off to the side and I'm just kind of like, I'm going to deal with you later. But I do actually need to read nonfiction. So I've joined like a book club type thing where we pick a so far all nonfiction book to read and talk about. The first one that we did was So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijeoma Oluo. And next we're going to be doing Stamped from the Beginning. I can't remember the author's name, but I'll put a picture up here. Because I am just not the kind of person who naturally gravitates towards nonfiction, I found it helpful to like find a group of people to read it with so that there's someone that I can like talk it out with. That's kind of the main thing for me. I also have been reading a lot more romance novels than I thought I would be this year because that's just like what I've had the brain power left for. I'm just like, yes, bring me the people of similar genders kissing. Like, that's all I want. As a bisexual, which genders they isn't super important, just make it queer. Yeah, weirdly, a balance of more nonfiction and more romance novels. And also I think now more manga, because I've got the Shonen Jump app, and so I can blitz through Haikyuu, which is the fun high school volleyball found family feelings one that I can just like gobble up like popcorn. So yeah, that's basically where I'm at. So my next question is, what is next on your TBR? I am debating reading Alcestis, which is by Catherine Buettner, and is a retelling of a Greek myth that I read when it first came out like 10 years ago. And I don't remember it super well, but a friend of mine wants to do a podcast on retellings next week. So I need to decide if I need to reread this in order to talk about it on the podcast, because again, it's been 10 years. I also have the book Stamped from the Beginning to read within the next like couple of weeks, because that's when we're meeting again, or at least like half of it, I think, because it's a big one. Anyway, and I haven't bought it yet because I went to try to find it in the library and the length of the hold is too long. So yeah, there are 2 steps to that one. Gotta buy it, then I gotta read it. I'm definitely gonna be reading some romance novels. In fact, I'd been reading some books by K.J. Charles, and most of what she writes is historical romance with between like 2 men, but I have a library hold that I'm waiting to come in. I'm going to get it in like 2 weeks, it says, but it is called Proper English, and it is her women one. I keep looking at this on my shelf. This is a trilogy that I have had on my shelf since, see, when did this one come out? 2014. So the last one would have come out 2016, I believe. Have not read the first one yet, but I'm still really intrigued by the premise of this one, which is like California has like split into like either 2 different states or 2 different countries, can't quite remember, and there are people like combing the beaches of Santa Monica for like the fossilized bones of mythological creatures and then grinding them up and using them in alchemy, and just like, that sounds awesome. Yeah, so I keep looking at this one, but like I said, anything that isn't either a reread or a romance novel takes me like 6 weeks to get through, so I am hesitant to start anything that I think will take me that long. But, I also have a couple romance novels. Take a Hint, Danny Brown, I'm waiting for, by Talia Hibbert. It's going to be like 7 weeks before the library coughs that one up. But I've also got another Alyssa Cole romance, which is An Extraordinary Union. So I finished her Reluctant Royals, like, contemporary royalty romance novel set, and this is a historical romance one, so yeah, I'm definitely interested to try this one out because I love Alyssa Cole's books. I've read The Reluctant Royals, and I read the first book in like a post-apocalyptic romance novel, which is called Radio Silence, I think. So since I've read like sci-fi, I've read contemporary, I really want to see what she does for historical. And then I've got this novella from my library that's The Black God's Drums by P.J. Lee Clark. I can't remember how I heard about this one. I think just someone was talking about it on BookTube, and then I checked my library as I was watching their video and saw that it was available and just borrowed it from the library, but I can't really remember what it's about. But I know it's like steampunky New Orleans, and it's supposed to be really short, so I honestly should just read that one because that sounds cool. So the last question on the list is, are there any readathons coming up this year that you are excited to participate in? I am a little burnt out on readathons. I kind of did 2 back-to-back, so I'm taking a break from readathons until if Maddie decides to do Spookathon in September or October, the way she's done the last couple of years. I will be participating in that because I need to do something related to Halloween, because I'm not going to be able to dress up in costume and give candy to the adorable little kids that come to my door every year the way I've been able to the last 2 years, and that's a really fun part of Halloween. And I'm not going to be able to like have the cocktail party where we all dress up in fun costumes. Like I did a Mario Kart group costume last year, and what is even the point of making a costume if I'm not going to be able to wear it anywhere? So I have to do something for Halloween. So I'm either going to read some spooky books and do a recommended reads video, or I'm going to do some kind of Halloween readathon, because I need to do something. Maybe I'll just dress up on camera. That's what the internet's for these days, right? To like show off your outfits to, because you can't show them to your friends. Anyway, I'm doing great. There's always a point in every one of these videos where you can just tell that I kind of lose my mind a little bit. And that was that point, but we're back. So because I've just been like binging fun series that I can just kind of throw back, I'm gonna need to like rank how many books I've read per author to see which one I've read the most of, because it's gonna all be like Alyssa Cole, KJ Charles, maybe Megan Whalen Turner, or N.K. Jemisin. And like, that's just gonna be how it is. So that is basically going to wrap up this video. If you have time, please comment down below with what the latest way to feel social during this quarantine pandemic you've been able to come up with, because what Ashlyn and I have recently done is started playing D&D for the very first time using my childhood best friend as our dungeon master. We're doing it through Zoom. She is quite experienced at being a dungeon master. We have never played before, so we did what was supposed to be a like one-off quick tutorial campaign last night, and Ashlyn and I spent a full like hour and a half on like step 1. And before you judge, I just want to say that we had a lot of questions about the undead bunny. Okay, so what have you been doing, whether it's Zoom cocktails or reading groups or fitness challenges? Tell me what you've been up to. Or if that's too much, just like drop a purple heart, because that's how, as a bisexual, I show my love to people. And if you liked these questions, you should consider doing this tag and letting me know. But that is going to be everything for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!